What it do, baby? It's your boy D-Red, aka the Blue Collar Scholar, man. I just wanted y'all to know that, about this a lot of stuff that's going on in the community, man. Just touching base with you. First, I want to talk about my boy Lex Vortex and the whole Hebrew Israelite perspective on is the white man the devil. That's a concept that's been looked at, you know what I mean? Even when you look at slave narratives, you know what I mean? Some of them people consider their slave masters known as the devil. That's not nothing new. I mean, is it a factual base based upon the whole Edomite thing? I don't necessarily subscribe to that. But when you look at it from the standpoint of purely scriptural base, you have to say there's some validity to it. When you say who's the biggest murderer on the planet. Now, we're not talking about what's going on now in isolated places like Chicago. We're talking about overall, who's the biggest murderer on the planet. You gotta say white folks. You know what I mean? It's not a racial thing. It's not about hating nobody. You know what I mean? It's not about that. I'm just looking at, just the numbers. So then when you look at how they wiped out all of the people of New Zealand, all of the people of Tanzania, not Tanzania, but Tasmania, how they damn near wiped out the Aborigines of Australia. How they doing Africans now? When you look at how they did the Native Americans, I can keep going on and on and on. You know what I mean? So that goes for a murderer. Now, the scriptures say that the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. All right, so we done covered the killing aspect of it, right? So we say that we can say that they're the biggest murderers on the planet. And according to the Georgia Guidestones, they plan on wiping out a whole lot more people. You know what I'm saying? So that covers the killing. Not the, you know what I'm saying? The steal. They stole the Aborigines' land. They tried to steal Africa. They colonized it for a minute. And you know what I mean? They named places Rhodesia after, Cecil Rhodes and stuff like that. So they stole that land. They stole South Africa. They stole, they stole America. You know what I'm saying? From Canada, Alaska, all the way down to the tip. You know what I mean? All the way to the other side. So they stole America. Hell, they colonized Hong Kong. Come on now. That speaks for itself. The beer still control the diamond mines in South Africa. So they stole the resources. You see what I'm saying? They're still in the coal tan and everything else. So, so that's covered. And destroy. Every place they go, they destroy the ecosystem. They destroy the ozone layer. They destroy, rainforest. They're destroying people. So when you look at it from just that standpoint in and of itself, you got to say that there's some validity to that particular argument. You see what I'm saying? So we got to look at that and take all that type of stuff in consideration when you say that they're not the devil. According to the scriptural definition, now you can say that there are some black devils that participate and acquiesce to the dominant society of racism, white supremacy. You can say that, but overall, you got to say that they're the perpetrators, they're the orchestrators, they're the puppeteers to the point where they've made it so they don't have to necessarily be hands-on anymore, that they can have henchmen to do whatever they choose to do. So to say that they're not the devil when they fit the scriptural definition overall, again, we're not talking about isolated incidents where Africans may go against Africans, or you can look in the period of history where Asian went against Asian with the Mongol invasion of China. You know what I mean? We're not talking about isolated incidents. We're talking about overall on the planet. You see what I'm saying? So that, you can't argue with them fitting that particular definition. You see what I'm saying? So to say that they're not based upon the circumstantial evidence my boy Lex got. Now, shout out to my boy Lex. That's my dude. But just because, everybody know that just because you're my dude don't mean I'm always going to agree with you. You see what I'm saying? So we got to look at that. And understand that, my boy Lex sometimes mean well, but sometimes he be short-sighted and not looking at the overall big picture. I mean, he was saying that basically, you know what I mean, if, by saying he the devil, that must make us God. Well, I mean, we're not God. We can say we're the sons of God. We haven't tapped into our God consciousness yet, or our God, God body and all that. We ain't tapped into all that yet. And that's why we still, appealing to our carnal and debased mind. I think that we need to do a better job of actually trying to get out there and get out and get something. You know what I mean, when it comes to dealing with the people in our community. I think that that's a major issue. But like I said, man, this was just a short video, just trying to address my boy Lex, man. Let him know that, man, your arguments were you was making a lot of moot points because you wasn't looking at the overall picture of why people say that. You know what I mean? You got to go listen to Malcolm X's speech, man. He said who's the biggest murder on the earth. He said who's the biggest. So we're talking about globally. We're not talking about locally. We're talking about globally. And then you got to address the fact that even when you talk about locally, the boys in Chicago was talking about how it's like they dropped a crate of guns in Chicago. We could talk about the ATF and their dealings in and bringing the guns in the community. We could talk about the CIA and they're bringing in the drugs and creating an atmosphere for drug dealing. You can talk about how the infiltration of groups that because they were young, they were able to, like with the Crips and Bloods, how they instigated and escalated the beef to create the atmosphere that we have now. So you got to look at not only the actual action in and of itself. Sometimes you got to look at the orchestrators and the perpetrators to the point where they can get something going and they can step back and, and not actually have to participate. I mean, you got to even look at the situation with the boy Darren Seals and his people up there in St. Louis. You know what I mean? Them boys them boys is going through it because them boys are speaking out and doing what they supposed to do. You know what I mean? And it goes back to prove my point. Darren Seals became a threat because he was a street dude that became conscious, and he was able to galvanize and make the people who are naturally rebellious. The street cat already has a rebellious tendency because he's willing to go against the status quo to achieve whatever he's trying to achieve. So he already becomes a threat naturally. You see what I'm saying? Because of his rebellious nature. So when you take that rebellious nature and you add information to it, you become the biggest threat. You see what I'm saying? That's why Malcolm X, even according to the to the FBI report, he was the most dangerous one, or the closest one to becoming a black messiah, even over Martin, because he was able to tap into a body politic that, a good guy, would not necessarily be able to tap into. You know what I mean? I'll get off into that a little bit more in a different video, and I can try to help follow the money on the whole Black Lives Matter. I mean, people go into Black Lives Matter and we talk about the funding of George Soros, but we don't talk about the Hands Up organization, and we ain't talking about some of these other groups and who they're funded by, the pink, anyway, I'll go off into that on another video or something if the people want to hear me talk about that. But anyway, man, it's your boy D-Red, aka the Blue Collar Scholar, man. I'm signing out, man. Much peace, much love. You know what I mean? And Shalom. And I hope y'all have a good Sabbath this weekend, man. Love you guys. You know what I mean? I'm out.